My name is Kate Marin. I'm a program manager at DC's Department of Small and Local Business Development for our Innovation and Equitable Development Division. And we are bringing the spring webinar series as part of our support of Small Business Week and into Small Business Month in May 2024. So we've been talking to and hearing from a lot of the great financial services providers and free resource providers supporting entrepreneurship in the district. And there are so many, and they do great work, and a lot of them work with each other as well to help support you build. And so within that, today we are going to hear from City First Enterprises and a lot of work that they are doing around commercial property as well. City First, they're going to tell you a lot more about who they are, but they're one of the wonderful community development finance institutions that we have here in the district. And so with that, I'm going to turn things over to Viviana and Jorge. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay, for the warm welcoming. It's definitely a great pleasure to be here today and share something that we do on a regular basis with a lot of business owners like you. And as I say, my name is Jorge Zambrano. I'm the commercial team leader with City First Enterprises. I've been with the company, just from the beginning of the year. However, I'm being in the industry for the past 20 years. City First Enterprises is a community development financial institution that has been around for more than 30 years, servicing the area of DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia. Let's talk a little bit about our mission that we have in place. We create equitable financial solutions to support people and communities in achieving their economic aspirations. And the vision is all people and communities transform their futures through equitable access to capital. Let's get into the most important thing that everybody's here, which is commercial real estate lending. Let's talk a little bit about commercial real estate lending. And this is something that we want to share with you guys, what we usually do and the questions that we ask. It is important, what is the purpose, and the reason that you're looking to acquire a building? Is it because you are operating the building? Is it because you want to invest in the building? However, it is important to have a purpose, and it's a purchase of multifamily buildings, commercial buildings for residential, commercial real use, community facilities, or owned and occupied commercial space. Here at City First Enterprises, we do loans from $100,000 up to $2 million. Okay, it says right there $1 million, but actually we can go up to $2 million. And the terms that we have is up to 5 years based on 25 and 30 years amortization. Rates nowadays can vary it from 5% to 9%. And the maximum loan to value that we can go is actually, up to 80% of the purchase price. When it comes to origination fees, typically and normally we charge from 1 point to 2 points of the loan amount. And the collateral has to be a first lien position. We also require personal guarantees are always required from any person who owns the business or who's looking to acquire the property with more than 20% of ownership. Okay, so let's move into the next one. And we as lenders, this is what we typically request when you're going through the process of seeking for financing. We ask for a business loan application to be completed, a credit authorization form, collateral information. In this case, it will be the subject property that you're looking to acquire. It has to be a purchase agreement in place. And also, it's got to be a business plan with projections, at least for the next 5 years. Definitely, we're going to be looking for current financials, and we're looking for tax returns for the last 3 years on the business, and the same thing for any guarantor who's going to be supporting the loan. And if you have account receivables, is that something that we're going to be asking and looking for? It's also important to provide a debt schedule because we want to learn if the business has any type of debt. We're going to be looking also for bank statements, at least for the past 3 months. Once again, it is important to have a purchase agreement in place. When it comes to the guarantors, we're going to be asking for personal financial statements, tax returns for the past 3 years, and personal bank statements. Some of the costs that should be considered when you're looking for financing, of course, it's going to be the acquisition price of the property, the later origination fee. As I mentioned before, it can range from 1% to 2%. There's going to be legal fees. There's going to be appraisal fees. An appraisal is definitely required to value the property. There's also going to be, depending on the type of property, we're going to request environmental um, services as well. And also, transfer taxes on the property is something that needs to be considered. And if you're going to be doing construction renovations, we need to have a budget in place. And it is very, very important, and I want to stress out that there's got to be equity, coming from the borrower. And also, there's a debt service coverage ratio that needs to be covered. Typically, we look for 1.15 or 1.20. With that means, for every dollar that the business makes, we are looking for $1.20 to be paid. That's a simple formula to understand. Okay, so let me give you an example here. And what we look when we are working with potential clients and we're working with the underwriting department. As you can see on the left column, we have the sources. We have the total purchase price for $278,000. The equity required is $358,000, and the loan that is going to be extended to the businesses for $920,000. And then on the right column, we have the uses. So the acquisition is going to be $1,150,000. There's going to be $50,000 allocated for renovation. There's going to be $20,000 for architecture and engineering. And as you can see right there, there is that typical loan fee that we charge. In this case, is 1%, which is equal to $9,200. There's transfer and recordation taxes, property taxes for the year that you are in, property insurance, and other closing costs. And that total is $1,276,000, which is equal to the total sources. So it's just to give you an idea, an example of how we operate, what we look for when we're going through the process of helping clients like you that are pursuing to acquire a property. So with that said, if you have any questions, concerns in regards to this, feel free to ask, and we will be more than happy to assist you with that. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Viviana Stevens. I'm the Director of Grant. So this means I'm your person if you need some information about the grants that City First Enterprises administer. Just to bring back a little bit this idea. After hearing my coworker Jorge, you might think, oh, this sounds like some of the terms might sound a little bit new for me, or that I don't understand exactly, how this example will applicable to my case. Just think that if this is your first approach to buy commercial property acquisition, in general, it is very, very complex process. The vocabulary that most of the lenders use is also complex. So there are often going to be some questions, and it's normal if you right now have questions about either the vocabulary, how long takes the process, and general questions about like with what lender it will be, a good idea for my business to get along with them. Like, I mean, who can be a right fit for me? So it's important that you start, if you are thinking in buying commercial property in the near future, it is important for you to start to approaching lenders, because there is behind all these numbers, there is an idea of trust that your business is going to be able to repay that loan, and your business is going to do well, then you are going to acquire this property and continue with your operations for a long time. So if this is your first approach to commercial property, I invite you to talk with a lender, talk with someone like Jorge has been like in the industry for several decades now. Then they can like tell you based on the financials or type of business that you have, if this is something that we need to start looking into in the immediate future, or if there's homework to do to kind of sit and talk more about your project. So since things are new, there are often so many questions, and me and Jorge are open to answer them. So let's talk about the grant that City First Enterprises is currently running. We are the administrators of the CPAF grant. This is the Commercial Property Acquisition Fund grant. We have available funding for $6 million, and the funding will provide down payment assistance to business owners that are looking to purchase commercial property in the district. This is for their main operations, or maybe to operate like a second location, or to move. So if you are in that situation, thinking about buying a property for your business, then you might want to take a look into this opportunity. So the award amount can be a max of $750,000, but we calculate the amount of the grant by multiplying the property price, the price sales, for 25, that is the 25%. And if it is higher than 750, then we will cap at 750. So whichever is the less. The application period already, this grant opened in February and will continue open until we find all grantees. Now, acquisitions are hard to find, like viable acquisitions are hard to find. So we are expecting that this application will remain open until September. And to be more informed about this type of opportunities, you have a couple of steps that I put there for you. So the first one will be joining the DEMPET newsletter. So you can just search DEMPET, and it will bring you to the main site. You will see like a little window, like the one that's in the image, and you will input your information. You will receive notifications from DEMPET about available grants and other valuable information to have as business owners. You can also go to DC Business Funding using the Obviously DC website. So just type Obviously DC and it will appear funding opportunities. All the grants available by DEMPET will be in that site. You can apply for CPAF from that website, or you can just click on the link that we're going to provide in a second. So if next slide, please. Okay, so what we are looking when we receive your application. First is if the business that is the applicant for us and the business owners who owns the business meet the eligibility criteria. The second important thing to consider if this property meets the requirements. In the third is that there actually exists financing in place. So this means your business technically can apply for this grant and receive the funding. Your property seems a good match for your business activities and intent of use. And there exists actually someone is going to lend you that 60 to 75% of the property price to move forward. And this is considered in the grant. And that you actually have skin in the game, that's the percentage that the business owner is going to put towards the down payment for the property. If there is some need for build out or construction, you will also need to have those numbers in place. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, is that little box that Jorge just showed to you. It's like sources and uses, like for what you are going to use the funds and from where is coming those funds. And then we're looking at commercial property project that is viable. This means that you're going to be able to close since we approve, with a deadline of 3 months. So we're looking for projects that they are going to materialize and close by the end of the year. So next slide. So who are the eligible business applicants? Well, the main goal for this grant is provide like grants to equity impact enterprise businesses. If you don't know what is an equity impact enterprise business, you can go to the DSLBD website because they do have an explanation about all the certifications that district has. And one of them is the Equity Impact Enterprise. Now, you don't have to be certified to apply for the grant, and you don't have to start the process of being certified at the time of the application that you submit an application. But you need to be conscious of what is the definition for Equity Impact Enterprise. So you can do that by visiting the DSLBD website or by actually going to the DC code and take a look at the definition. If you have questions about that, you can give us a call and we can go over the definition for you to understand what we actually are requiring. But technically, it's like a business that, at least has 51% of DC resident-owned component. And this means that at least 51% of the owners need to live in the district, and they need to be subject, or they, unfortunate, right, who had been subject to racial or ethnic prejudice or cultural bias because of their identity. The key thing is, like, if you believe you meet this definition, just submit. If you are unsure, submit. Because believe me, I have seen so many letters, the people that they are unsure that it will meet the definition, and actually they meet the definition. So you are welcome to apply. You just need to submit a written statement, sign your statement. All the details will be in the application, and you don't have to be certified. You just need to explain what you believe that your business meets this criteria, and we will evaluate. Now, needs to be independent, owned and operated. In case of franchise, it will be the same. You need to generate like under $50 million. If you have questions about this, let us know as well. You need to be already operating, already selling the product, be in the industry that you're gonna use this new property. You cannot have more than 2 locations in the district. This includes rental. This is technical first, like you're equivalent of your first home buyers, but for commercial. So this should be the first time that you're buying commercial property acquisition. So there's a restriction of not owning another commercial property. It's in the district and outside the district. However, this not include the ownership of your home or your secondary home, okay? So if the business owners already own commercial property acquisition, that means that they have the capacity to own the commercial property for the business that they're applying, and they will be considered ineligible. So this should be the first time that you're trying to buy commercial, well, not trying to buy it, that you actually are acquiring commercial property. Now, if you lost a commercial property during COVID or before, that's fine. You can apply it as long as you don't own at the time that you are applying for the grant. You will be okay. Now, there are some industries that will not be eligible. Some of those industries are real estate investor, lender, real estate consultant or development or developer, and construction. They will be excluded, but we will accept projects that have a workforce development component. This means that a construction company maybe has a contract with, either DOES or like another organization, government organization, either local or federal, to, provide workshops and education towards increasing the workers in the district. So that will be okay. Any project related to workforce development. Next. Thank you. So eligible property, how I know that the property, it will be a good fit for the grant? Well, if the property is not just residential, that will be okay. If it has a zone that is a mixed-use zone, we will need to take a look into the details of the property, if it matches your project. But technically, we're looking for businesses that are trying to operate mainly on this location. So this means that they is not considered a real estate investment, but more like a business owner or like occupied property. This means that at least 50% is going to be for the business use. There is a restriction if we provide the grant. We actually put like either a second or the third link depending on the cases, but we will have a covenant in place between the business that is awarded in the district for operate the property. And in this restriction, we have like a minimum requirement or 25%, can be higher in some cases, of minimum to operate that location at all times during 7 years. So this means like if you have a financial hardship, you might be able to rent part of the property to be able to continue operating the location for 7 years. But we are looking at the time that we approve businesses that have this plan of operating at least 50% to 51% of the property. Now we're looking for a business owner that can put a minimum of the down payment required by the grant. Now this minimum requirement might be different than the requirement that the lender will ask. So for example, let's say that the property costs 1.7 million, and for CPAP, you're required to put like a minimum of 8% towards down payment, but the lender asks for 10. So as long as the minimum, you meet the minimum, then we'll be okay. Why we require this percentage is because business owners need to put money to down payment, right? You put some, CPAP puts some, and then we're looking into entering, like for example, for that 1.7, we're looking at 8% plus 25% that we give. Well, that's around 32%. So you will be your monthly payments will be like significantly less than if you put like 20% towards the down payment. Now, when you submit the application, you need to submit an application based on the business that is currently operating and not the holding company. As you know, or you might know later, the holding company is the company that will hold the real estate. So it's really empty, it doesn't have operations. And sometimes we disqualified applications based on that. We really are looking for the applicant to be a business that is currently operating and it has a need to buy commercial property. Next one. Okay, so there will be a lot of questions about signing. The best thing that you can do is just give us a call and tell us, hey, I'm looking into this address. Can you take a look? We can tell you, yes, sir. If it is a no, we are going to tell you it's going to be a no because of this and this reason. But if it might be a maybe, then we will ask you to submit an application to know more about your project. And if it is a yes, we will tell you, you know, like it looks good for us, and you will need to submit an application for actually we do like a formal evaluation of the property. But as long as not strictly residential, you will be fine. Next one. Thank you. So required documents. If you already have been receiving for a grant or like a PPP loan, like event like any DSLPD like grant in the past, you probably were requested a clean hands, a DC business license, an occupancy permit, valid government issue ID, like some business financials, like any other documents. So expect the same. But for this grant, you will need a purchase contract or a letter of intent between the buyer and seller. Sign it. That you are going to enter or about to enter, or you already have entered a purchase agreement contract. And you will also need a lender's letter or a term sheet. This means that a lender have seen your financial, have talked to you, and believe that this is a viable project at the time that you submitted your documents. These in some cases change when it comes to underwriting, but at least we want to know that you're working with that lender and you and the lender are serious about their interaction and they're looking into the possibility to provide you a loan. For the purchase contract agreement, is the same. Now, a lot of people tell me this is like chicken and the egg, right? Like what I do first. And the answer is like, we never know. Sometimes you have a better relationship with the seller, and first is the property, and sometimes you have like already a connection with the lender, and the lender can advise you on like property price, or like based on the financials, we're looking that maybe you need to buy under $1.5 million. Based on your current rent, you might want to consider this. So it is a problem. It is a problem to find both of them at the same time. So the lender often will tell you need to find a property, and for the property, you need to find a lender to show that you are serious about and you have the financial needs. Now, most of the cases is easier to approach a property first, but if you are still unsure about your budget, go to the lender to start having those conversations. Maybe they will point you, they will show you the right direction. And most of them are very flexible in terms of like waiting times for gathering both of the documents. So it's a difficult process. It's a lot of work, and always try to get like a second opinion in terms of like maybe a second lender, maybe try to look at a second term sheet, or working with a lender. What if this doesn't work for me? I'm still applying for the grant and trying to get like another quote, and for the property too, because it might that everything runs smooth, you have the perfect lender, perfect property, and then at the end of the day, 1 week before, the seller decide not to sell, or there's a tax lien on the property, and there are like some issues to be resolved, and then throws like the whole like timing and program. So look into another property. It's like buying a house. You don't go and put like, I like this, I'm gonna buy this house. You look around, take a look at the options available, and maybe the right option is in front of you. But in some cases, maybe second best is not a bad option. So keep your mind open when you're looking for a lender and for a property. And also, like coming from a CDFI, what I can tell you is like looking at CDFIs, they provide like this type of support. One of them, City First Enterprises, but you also have others like Capital Partners and Industrial Bank that I'm aware that they do commercial. But also like between lenders, they communicate. So some of the lenders, especially on CDFIs, they might advise you to go to someone that has, they might be a better match for your lender needs. So as I mentioned, like it's a trust relationship. So you might want to consider to approach your lender and talk like very open about, your financial needs. Yeah, and you need to be prepared to provide like project information. Like nothing is more sad like see like gray numbers, and you have like the lender, you have the property, but you have like no description of what you're gonna do with the property, or you don't have like really you have like a big space to write like why you want to buy a commercial, this property, and there's no description about like the business reasons by the property or personal reasons about the property. So use the space, provide an application to describe what you want to do in the location. And think about this, it can be $750,000, so you better put your salt on that application so we understand well your project. So next one. Thank you. So how I know if there is still funds available? Once we have selected some of the guarantees, we're starting to drop the numbers. There is like 90% of funds available. Now there is 80% funds available. So there is 70% funds available. And you will see the percentage dropping as the time goes by. Now, we have started to allocate some of the funds. So we're going to start like updating those funds, but we still have funding available at this time. And if this is the first time hearing about the grant or you are not sure, still take a look at the application, generate your login, start thinking about the questions that I'm asking, because if this is not your year, maybe next year it will be the year that you buy. A funny story, some weeks ago, a client told me, I remember I was in a webinar for CPAP 1, and I asked the seller, are you willing to sell the property? And the answer was no. So she started to think about it. She joined in the webinars. She looked at the application. It was in the back of their head. And then this year, the seller approached her and say, hey, do you still want to buy the property? Because I might be interested on this. So I'm going to get an evaluation and we can start talking about the price. And so you never know. Maybe it's not the right time today, but maybe those questions will start, we start working on your brain, and the sellers kind of shape the idea also of the sellers, if it is a good option or not. Some of those conversations have also bring like a little bit of light of what is next after your current lease expire. Today I talked with a business owner that mentioned that they don't think, the seller don't think that they're gonna renew the contract after the next 2-3 years. Once this applicant approach and say, are you willing to search the sell property? Say like, well, actually I'm looking into redevelopment options for this property. So, you have enough time to look now. So she has the next 2 to 3 years to start or to try to find their permanent home in the district. So talk with your landlord about the possibility of buying the property. If you feel that it's not the answer that you want, maybe it's a good time to start looking into options. So next. Okay, let me take a look at the questions. For small business. We're looking for. So that's a very difficult answer to provide you. Like, we cannot provide support looking into properties, not because we don't want, but because really you need a real estate agent. There is so many talks that we usually have with the owners about having a team to support your project. It's you need someone that specializes in. You can tell, I want a home, right? Like 2 rooms, 1 bathroom, and this is what I need to live. And I want it for under $500,000, and I want it like maybe in this place. It's the same like buying a house, but for buying commercial properties, like I want an industrial space that allows me to produce soaps, or I want like a cleaning business, like a cleaners, and then I can use this amount of like water or I want an industrial, like a space that I can have an industrial like kitchen. And the most important component for me is to have like a giant refrigerator, because this is what I need in a parking space. So once you have what you're gonna, the minimum things that you will need as business owners, then you can go to an expert and say like, this is what I want. Now help me to find where I'm gonna have this foot traffic that I need. My clients are this demographic, like what are the words that where I can like establish my business that could help me to achieve the projections that I want. So you really need an expert to talk to you about this. Don't get cheap on architects as well, lawyers, like, signing a contract without not knowing that the project might take, buying commercial property takes more than 60 days. Okay, you might need an extension. You might to have, you know, just going blind and sign a document just to secure the property might not be the best option, especially for small business owners. So you really need a lawyer. You really need to like a real estate. You get it. Like you need a team to guide you through the process, because it is not the same as buying a house. It's like 10 times more complex. And unfortunately, there is no education for buying commercial real estate. There is education that you have to pay for investment properties, but no one talks to you about commercial real estate. So really, it is a need for you to start building a team, right? If your property is going to have a lot of construction, the lender is going to also ask you for having those type of team members in your project. And then how arrange to have a networking? Well, actually, we're planning on to having an event for you to sit with lenders and discuss your idea, kind of like a speed networking. But we'll go to that at the end. So real estate, we cannot provide like a referral for your team members. However, we can provide some information about the people that work in with previous grant recipients. So for lenders, we will provide like not a referral list, but a list of lenders that have worked with CPAF. For you don't have to explain that this is like a real grant and how it works. Like you can go to them, they have gone through the same project, received the grants, utilize it for buying the property. There are also some real estate like names that I can provide for agents that have worked on CPAF cases before, but you need to ask. Now for the application, there's also support. The most important thing that you need to consider when providing an application is like, if you have questions, ask, right? If you wrote something wrong, ask how to amend your application, how to change your application. There is support that we can provide you and to better guide you. We are not going to tell you exactly what you need to answer, but we're going to tell you what we're looking into each question if you have any concerns. Most important, describe your project, describe what you want, make sure that everything matches. Read your application several times and make sure that you put like everything that you want to accomplish there. So next one. So describe the products and services, what your business does. Sometimes you have a lot of things on social media. Just make sure they understand that we're going to take a look at everything that we can find on internet about your business, just to make sure that there are no discrepancies within knowledgeable industries. So you can help us by providing and describing the products that you are offering to the public. You can provide also the links to your social media, so we take a look at them. Yeah, and you make sure to provide the legal, review first your legal documents, make sure that the names match, there is percentages, who owns what, and taxes. Taxes, have your taxes available, especially 2023, right? The next one. Yeah, and for Equity Impact Enterprise, if you have any questions, please let us know. And again, you can take a look at the DSLPD website about certifications. You don't have to be certified. We will not require that certification like at the time of the application. So if you have questions about this term, and if it is in the application, if it is for the grant, please reach out to us. If you want to apply for the certification, then you will need to reach out to the SLPD directly, but we do not communicate on when is your project or like who has to approve you. So that's a different process. They do have no information about the grant, so making sure that if you really want to apply for them, if it is a really good fit for your business, you might want to talk with the SLPD. But for the grant itself, if you have questions about the definition, if you meet the definition for the grant and anything related to the grant and want to answer in the application, go to us, please. We will help you on that. The next one. Okay, so know your numbers and your lender. You know, all that example that Jorge provided on sources and uses. This is what we will go through when we have an interview with a potential CPAF recipient. So agree on those numbers. Nothing sounds better that applicant with realistic and based on numbers expectations. Next one. And yes, you will need to provide your lender information. So making sure that you have a lender lineup for the at the application time. Next one. And that's all. So thank you. My name is Viviana Stevens again. My coworker is Jorge Zambrano. You can reach out to us at the emails provided, and the direct phone number for Jorge is listed there. If you want to reach us about CPAF, you can send us an email. You can list the name of your business, what your business does, like what times you're available, and please let us know if you want us to contact you. We can arrange a 50-minute call with you, or even have like a Teams meeting and go over the requirements with you. Thank you.
Viviana and Jorge, thank you so much for this overview. Sorry, I was not advancing the slides at first, and so I know that the deck is going to become available, but also being able to get to your information that's here. I think there are two small questions in the chat, and I want to encourage other folks, be adding questions in, and I might have a couple for you as well. But I think there's a lot of excitement about the possible event. Do you happen to know when that might be coming?
Yeah, we're trying to, I think probably it's going to be in a month when they have. We might try to do it sooner because of the summer. Everyone is starting to get excited about summer. They do other plans and they need to start to follow their idea about finding a lender. So we might happen like at the end of June. Once we have more information about it, we will send it to you. And if we receive the email list of everyone that attended today, we will also share. Now, you can also join our CPAF email list. You can email your information at cpaf@cfenterprises.org, and we will send you any information about the updates for the grant. Now, our idea is that business owners can sit with a lender and talk about, what they want. And then after a couple of minutes, move to the next lender and then move to the next lender, kind of like a speed dating, but for lenders. So we're trying to organize this event soon. Once we have like more available details, then we will share with everyone.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I want to encourage folks that when opportunities like that come up, it is great to be able to start meeting people, to be hearing about different opportunities. And I think one piece, you may be on the line today, and it may not be that this year is the year that you would go for a commercial property loan or a commercial property grant. But being able to think about what that could look like in the future so that you could start structuring and planning towards it, and coming out to events and learning. And so I want to just, thank the team for the events and the opportunities they're putting forward and this information that they're sharing. The next question, and I'm going to broaden it out just a little bit. So the question is, are you support for applying for grants? And I want to kind of broaden that out from the perspective on what does it mean for someone to get support on applying for a grant? What does it mean for someone to get support for applying to a loan? And I think it's this layered perspective of some support here, some support here, some support here. But I'm curious about your perspective and what advice you would give for someone as they were seeking support for applying for grants generally.
Well, I feel like we can speak that for hours, but let's put it in this way. Most of our clients, or most of the inquiries that I have on my side for grants, is that business owners sometimes they reach and say like, hey, I want to know more information with the grants. And the follow-up email is like, yeah, sure, but what do you actually mean? So be very specific about your questions. Like, I would like to know more information, or I have these questions. Like, it is easier for us to provide the information if you are very clear about what you need, because if there is only a link, we can send you a link and then our support will finish there, right? So be very honest, be very clear, transparent. If what are your needs? If it is like, I'm unsure that I will qualify for the equity impact enterprise, can we talk about this? This is the times that I'm available. This is my phone number. You can reach out to me at this email, or I'm very interested in the grant, but I would like to know more. This is the link for my business. Like, these are my questions. Then it's easier for us to know if we give you a call instead of like sending emails. We have a better idea that what type of information we can provide to you, or if we cannot provide you. So what I often do in my consulting is like, if you say I'm working from Bibiana's Industries Services, like INC, I go and run that name everywhere. And I can see, okay, it's like real estate construction. Like, okay, what type of construction company you have? Do you have a workforce development like project? Or if that's like just a developer, it's like, there might be a not. So tell what your business does. I think if you don't know where to start, just tell us who you are, tell us what's your project, and we will see if that match the general idea. If you still have more questions, if you did not receive the right answer, maybe just say like, hey, I'm still waiting for this answer, or I'm still not clear about this, and then we can provide follow-up conversations. And this is a 15-minute call to just assess like if you will meet the minimal requirements, and then we can provide you a following like meeting for 45 minutes to an hour to go over the requirements. And in that meeting, we actually make questions about the often disqualifiers for this grant, and to see if you have like a good option or a good, let's say, like probability to provide a successful application. So we will screen you to make sure like what type of details we will want that your application contains when you're submitting something, right? If you are like a new business, maybe, okay, so it doesn't require, but maybe if you can provide 2023 taxes, or if you already got your audited documents, maybe provide this. Or if you're working with these lenders already, you don't know with whom you're going, okay, provide you 2 lenders letters so we can take a look at who they are. So if you really are serious about providing an application, talk to us so we can screen you and we can give you guidance from there. Sometimes it doesn't work. Let's say the cases for nonprofits, and then we try to do our best and refer you to the resources that district have available. To some of the conversations that we have is that, okay, maybe this is the first approach they have to CDFIs, and they have no idea that there's the DC Bar Pro Bono providing like general information about like how to create a holding company for, say, for buying commercial real estate. So then we will send you the website, we'll tell you, or maybe we are aware about another grant that will better match your needs. We can also refer you to the district if your project really falls into, you know, a different grant. So we try to help you.
Just another advice from the financial institution perspective, please have your business tax returns ready. That information is very relevant. Just to let you know, once again, typically we ask for the last 3 years of business tax returns, and the same thing goes, you know, for any personal guarantor. So we're going to be looking for tax returns. It is very important that you have all your taxes up to date. Otherwise, it's very difficult for any financial institution to do a financial analysis in order to determine whether or not you qualify for the loan that you're looking for. And don't get me wrong by saying this, also it's important that you're very conscientious that your business is showing net profit income. And the reason being is because we're going to utilize, that's what we typically call revenues are being called the top number, and the net profit income is called the bottom number. Many lenders refer like that to the net income. And we use the net income in order to service debt. And also, if you're operating from a space where you're paying rent, we usually give you back that as a credit. So that will be added to the net income in order for you to qualify for the loan. So it is very important to have tax returns and be very transparent about the information that you are reporting. So that will help us, help you, in qualifying for the process of the loan. And that's, that's how it works. And another thing, just be open. We love working with clients. We like to provide technical assistance. Just be open, just listen, and just follow the advice. As Viviana mentioned before, every business owner should have a team of professionals, an accounting, a insurance broker, a real estate agent, to provide the best professional advice that you guys can have. And that's why, going back, it is important to have a real estate agent in place, because that person is going to represent yourself and the business, and is going to look for the best interest on yourself. That's how it is. But start building that ecosystem that you need, in order, to do better, to articulate, and to be more organized. So like this, that will help you approach many goals that you have in place.
Yeah, the thing, one advice that I will give the business owners also, because I feel that we provide so much information and about this, and also the lender on their side, is take a look. YouTube is a great place to find a lot of information, right? You can get lost there, but you can start hearing about how long it takes to close on commercial properties. I think it exists an idea that I can buy a commercial property within 30 days, no appraisals, things like that.
No.
And you need to start thinking like, it's not that your lender is lazy or the grant is delayed. It's just a normal process that, you will need to follow. It takes time to buy commercial property. And
I'm glad you mentioned that, Viviana, because it is important for any potential person who's looking to acquire a commercial property to understand that there's a process in place when it comes to lending financial institutions. First of all the information has to be provided, at once, meaning, we need to have everything in place. We cannot work, in pieces. It doesn't work that way. Once we obtain all the information that is needed to do a financial analysis, it can take from 4 to 6 weeks just to go through the underwriting process. Once the underwriting process is done And if we see that this particular client qualifies for the acquisition of such property, and then we go into loan committee. And that probably can take a week or 2 weeks. And when we go to loan committee, we're seeking for an approval of the loan request. We do our best. We're going to be presenting the loan on your behalf because you're going to tell us the story. We're going to be talking about your business, what is going to be the impact of your business in the society, how things, are going to work for you. So once the loan is approved, that's when we start the process in regards to the property, meaning requesting an appraisal of the property. An appraisal of the property can take from 4 to 6 weeks. And also, depending on the type of property, we're going to require an environmental service. And that takes a little bit less than that. That can take probably from a week to weeks. So when you're looking into the entire process, you're looking at least for 3 months. At least 3 months. They can go for 3 to 4 months. And I'm glad, Viviana said, please don't get the wrong impression, that we're sitting on things. It's just part of the process. We cannot ask for an appraisal when the loan hasn't been approved. An appraisal costs a lot of money. An appraisal can cost you from $4,000 to $6,000 depending on the size. It's very costly. The same thing when it comes to environmental. It can cost you up to $1,800, $2,000. We don't want you to incur in those expenses without having an approval. So the approval has to take place in order to order the appraisal, the environmental, and other things. So definitely, more than happy for anybody who's going through the process. And also, it's important to identify the property. That is crucial. Look into your financials. Look into your bottom line, your net income, how much you're paying in rent. For the space that you're operating. Be realistic with the numbers. Sometimes people get too emotional, get excited. Oh, I want to buy that property that is $2-3 million. That doesn't really fit your needs. So be realistic. Obtain something that is going to fit your needs, your business needs, that is going to continue, helping you operate your business. That's the whole idea.
If you have time for one more quick question and closing thoughts, I know we're just a little bit after 5. There is one quick question in the chat, which is whether or not the funds can be used to purchase property for short-term rental, which I think may be residential, but I'll let you clarify. And then I've got one last question for you both.
Yeah, so the answer is not. Should be like owner-occupied business, in real estate industry is excluded. So that includes your rentals, yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing so much information today. And I think we've talked a lot about how, and I think that how is so incredibly valuable for our small businesses. And I want to ask, just from your expertise, from your experience, a little bit about the why. When we think about why it's so important for small businesses to be able to purchase and acquire commercial property, and why you are invested and why CFE is invested in this space, just a little bit of that impact, because I know you have such good experience in this. Would love to just hear those as some closing thoughts.
Oh my God, where to start with that? So I feel like that's a very in-depth question, and I offered the answer like the first in terms of like who I'm talking in terms of business owners. So this is actually a question that we do on the interview. We ask about the reasons to buy it, like why now, right? Why this year? Why that property? Why that property price? Can you afford it? Why not? And like, what's the reason to buy it? What's a good reason to buy commercial property? And at the beginning, like I feel like CPAF 1, almost everyone was answering because I want to build equity. I want to build equity, but that's not. I feel like that's not enough. Like that's what you get when you buy commercial property, but that's not the reason that you enter into a contract to buy commercial property. The real reason is to deal with, trying to make your business grow, remain in the district. It makes sense for your business financially. Like in the long term, you're going to save money by renting because it decreases your rent by this amount, and I'm going to be able to use those funds for this purpose. It needs to have a business reason for you to enter into a contract. Otherwise, you will be the typical person in the real estate trying to buy property for renting out. It's just you're gonna rent it out for your business. So you really need to have business reason based on your financials to enter into a contract, and that property doesn't become a liability. So we're looking for businesses that buying commercial property makes sense.
Yes, I think that was a great answer. Once again, just to reinforce the idea is how it's going to enhance the way your business operates. That's the ultimate goal. How your business is going to enhance. How is the business taking advantage of acquiring that commercial space? But it is important to know the why and understand why. And that's why that's something that I mentioned before. Be realistic, be careful. Don't get excited. Sometimes we come across potential buyers and, oh, I just want to buy the property for $3 million. And they're just operating probably, in 500 or 1,000 square feet. And they're buying a space for 2,000 or 3,000 that is not really needed, and they just trying to become like Viviana mentioned, real estate holders, defeating actually the purpose of acquiring the property. It has to benefit, add value to your existing business.
And just to add final thought here, also a lot of businesses that we're receiving applications are businesses that my landlord is gonna sell the property, and I'm not gonna have a renewal. I invested a lot in this location. I haven't all my clientele here. I've been working for like 20 years in this location, and I'm gonna be displaced. So survivance also is like a real reason for buying commercial property, right? I'm gonna remain in the district. I'm gonna remain with my neighborhood. It's just the current situation is not gonna hold in the future. So if you are in that situation, or you're thinking that you are gonna entering, or your neighborhood is changing, start looking into options. Like it might be something that it is good for you in the future.
That's a great point, Viviana, because as you mentioned, a lot of business owners have invested so much money throughout the years in leasehold improvements. It's amazing the dollar amounts that they have invested, when you look into so many years, and suddenly they can find themselves at risk if that landlord decides to put the property, up for sale. However, you still have, the first chance to acquire the property, and that's why it's always important to have financials in place, making sure that your business is showing decent profits, let's put it that way, in order to qualify, and especially, cash intense business. And this is normal, and don't get me wrong by making the comment, are not being reported all the time. And then when they look for financing, it is very hard for a financial institution to extend credit to that business because all the income is not being shown. So be extremely careful about that.
Let me just say thank you both for sharing so much information. Thank you for everything that you do. And I want to say thanks to everyone who stayed on the line just a few minutes longer to hear some great gems that were being shared by Viviana and Jorge from City First Enterprises. That information is on the screen. And if you are coming back for our spring webinar series, we have our last session tomorrow to round things out with the DC BizCap program from the Department of Insurance, Securities, and Banking. And they're actually one of the possible partners in your team if you're seeking loans. Because they participate and do collateral support, and so we hope that you show up and check that out as well. In the meantime, have a great night, and thanks everybody.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.